Yo, what's going on, y'all? You're back. I want to thank you if you're tuning in. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. All right, so we got this, I guess there's a new website that's out. I've just came across it. The Real 2012 Delegate Count. It says here, we received an email from Mark who wanted to know how our delegate count could possibly be so low. The reason for that is because we only assign delegates after the state convention is held and delegates have been selected rather than guessing like the AP does, Associated Press does. I asked Ben Swan to share how that process works so that we could answer Mark's questions. Here was his response. Actually, it is really not that complicated. The process runs like this. Primary or caucus in any given state, and a vote is taken where voters are able to decide who their preference is for the nominee. In the primary, that is all show. The real contest is for delegates. They are selected through a variety of processes depending on the states. In some states, voters cast a ballot for delegates at the polls, and in other states, delegates apply for the position. One selected delegates on to county or district caucuses. Many times, that can equate to thousands of delegates in any given state. Again, depending on the states, some delegates will attend congressional district conferences and at-large delegate conferences. These votes are held at various times after the first primary or caucus and are culminated by the state Republican convention. At the convention, slates of delegates are postured and maneuvered. It is a chance for delegates to be elected or chosen by other delegates in attendance. At the conclusion of the state Republican convention, each state will select their national delegates as well as a group of alternates. It is only after that selection process takes place that we really know how many delegates a candidate has. Consider in contrast who the AP determines delegates. When the primary or caucus is held in any given state, the AP takes the number of delegates allotted to the state and divides the total by the percentage of the vote gained by the candidate in the election. Even though no state convention has been held, the AP projects the number of delegates who will be required to vote for a candidate. If you have seen Reality Check recently, then you know there is a precedent for why delegates are not bound. The way you all are listing delegates is the most fair way to do because you are not guessing, and yet you will have a very clear count by the middle to the end of June. Okay? And they got a map here that you can look at. And so what it's showing here is that Mitt Romney has an actual 312 delegates, and Ron Paul has an actual 110 delegates. Rick Santorum has 144. Gingrich has 24. Not held in caucuses or primaries. That's 638 delegates still up. And let's see. Yeah, so they got a map here you guys can check out on the real2012delegate.com, the real2012delegate.com. So it does look like this looks a lot more realistic. I mean, I knew Mitt Romney wasn't nowhere near in the 700s, 800s when a lot of conventions haven't even taken place, and we still have primaries that haven't even taken place. So you guys check that out. Also, if you didn't hear, Herman Cain was in Virginia Beach, Virginia, over the weekend, and he was interrupted. Let's see, King spoke before a crowd of delegates at Princess Anne High School, which is funny, that's where I went to high school, before heading to a fundraiser raising dinner for U.S. Representative Scott Ridgell. Kane tried to get the audience to get behind presumptive GOP nominee Mitt Romney. Here's how we win, Kane said, stopping briefly to pause. At that moment, a man from the audience interjected, "Ron Paul," to ensuing thunderous applause from the audience. Ron Paul supporter and Newport News resident Carrie Nunnally estimated afterward that 70% of those in attendance supported Paul in Virginia's presidential preference primary earlier this year, where Romney defeated Paul 60 to 40%. Kane reminded those in attendance that he was holding the microphone. "My favorite candidate didn't get the nomination, but I got over it," he said. The Democratic Party has begun a strategy that will attempt to cast any arguments that conservatives make during the presidential race as racist, Kane said. "We must win. We cannot sustain a nearly $16 trillion national debt. Stay informed," he said. "We've got to outvote the stupid people, and you know stupid people are running America." Quote, "We don't need to rewrite the Constitution. We simply need to reread the Constitution," he said. "We have an administration that is ignoring the Constitution and not enforcing the Constitution." A portion of Newport News was added to the 2nd Congressional District as a result of redistricting based on the 2010 census. The precincts involved tend to vote Republican. So Herman K. is getting shut out. I mean, I don't understand this. How are we not winning not one state, but Ron Paul supporters are everywhere? What state are we going to where we're not at? Where we're not, at least split 50-50 down the middle because they're busting people in, or we got the majority. But somehow we're not winning those states. You know what I'm saying? We're still just only 10%. He still has no chance to win. It's ridiculous. All right, so we're going to play this little clip real quick in case you guys missed it. Oklahoma Convention outside on News 9.
We begin with a political ruckus playing out right now in Norman. This is where Ron Paul supporters are staging a rally outside while the Republican state convention goes on inside. Hundreds of people still there at this hour, as is News 9's Chris McKinnon, who joins us now live. And Chris, what exactly is going on?
Well, Carl, the state convention actually let out about 5 o'clock tonight, but like you said, hundreds of people came outside to continue that convention because they say that the party was breaking rules inside. I'm joined now by Jake Peters, who is out here, who can explain a little bit more as to what exactly happened inside and why you guys came out here.
Sure. Basically, there was a repeated disregard for the rules in parliamentary procedure, and then they ended up adjourning, and despite of a obvious no vote to adjourn, and that was during the time they were walling off a third of the convention hall, and would basically ignored calls for division or appeals to the chair, which according, like I said, to rules have to be heard, and basically we decided to hold what's called a rump convention, and we took our contingent outside and we redid all the business of the convention, and we've got results to show for that, including nominations of delegates and alternates to the National Convention, elector and alternate electors, as well as approving the state party platform, which they failed to do, and taking care of a Congressional District 1 complaint, which was scheduled to be heard today at the state convention.
Alrighty, and so as we move forward from here, a lot of unanswered questions still. We will continue to follow this story as it develops. Tomorrow I'll hopefully have more answers about exactly what happened inside and where the party goes from here. Again, still some official business to deal with out here. Reporting live in Norman, Chris McKinnon, News 9.
Okay, so yeah, if you guys didn't hear, basically they shut down the convention. They didn't want to do it fairly because they knew that we were going to win. So long story short, everyone's outside trying to finish the convention just like they did in Missouri. Luckily, it seemed like it went a little bit more smoother. If you were on the Ustream watching Missouri Ustream from the convention, then you could see that it was awesome. We a lot of Ron Paul supporters sent money or ordered pizzas for them in the parking lot, so that way they didn't have to leave. So that was great, and people chanting Ron Paul's name, people excited. It's beautiful because we're seeing that we're fighting back. And when you look at the crowd, when they were showing the crowd on the film, it's an awesome, beautiful thing to see that there's so many different nationalities, different backgrounds, black, white, all different types of nationalities being represented in this movement, and that's what we need. That's how we're going to win elections, when we bring in the masses, everyone, not just white people, not just old people, not just minorities, or not just, libertarians. We're going to bring in Democrats, independents, all of it. Now, we're coming up to the end of the hour. I wanted to play the next clip, Romney supporters punch Ron Paul supporters. That was on Channel 4 News, but we'll do that in the next hour. Also, let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, have you guys heard of the worst convention ever in our history? Well, I got an article that talks about the worst convention, and it is definitely nowhere near ours, talking about people getting beat up, blood splattered. I don't know if they said someone got shot or stabbed. It's crazy, y'all. So we're going to jump into that article in the next hour, so make sure you stay tuned. Don't forget that I'm on every day, Monday through Friday, RonPaulRadio.com, 10 to 12 noon Eastern Time and 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern.